It just makes me furious, seriously. Seeing this agenda, this stuff being pushed on everyone when it's so clear nobody really asked for it, doesn't have public support.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Deep Dive Report Show with Mike and Sam. We don't just skim the headlines here.
No, we definitely don't. We try to get to what's really going on underneath.
So today, what are we digging into?
Well, we're looking at what seems like a huge disconnect, really. A gap between what the Trump administration is actually doing policy-wise and what the public seems to want or think.
Okay.
We've got some transcripts, some analysis, including stuff from Chris Hayes over at MSNBC looking at recent events.
Right.
And the mission, our mission for you, is to try and uncover the reality here. Pinpoint these specific policies that are frankly unpopular and see how the administration reacts when, people actually notice.
And there's a perfect example right off the bat, isn't there? It's just outrageous.
Wow, the Women's Health Initiative? Yeah.
Exactly. This move to just slash funding for it. I mean, it's a 30-year study.
Yeah.
NIH-funded crucial preventative healthcare research for postmenopausal women.
Groundbreaking stuff.
Groundbreaking. And the cost, like $10 million a year? Peanuts, relatively speaking.
Especially considering the payoff.
Exactly. The insights on breast cancer, heart disease, osteoporosis. The savings in medical costs are estimated in the billions.
And yet
the transcript we saw actually says, quote, Trump and Elon Musk tried to end it. I mean, who voted for that? No one. No one voted for that.
It's baffling, and it really does seem to illustrate a potential strategy, doesn't it?
What, just overwhelm everyone?
Kind of. Push through a whole bunch of these less popular things, maybe hoping that in the flood of news, the really controversial stuff just slips by.
Like hope no one notices?
Yeah, that seems to be the idea suggested in the MSNBC analysis anyway. If enough crazy stuff happens all at once, maybe the important things get lost.
We saw that with the National History Day funding too, right? Just poof, gone. Why?
Exactly. It seems inexplicable. A program getting kids into history, it might seem small compared to the WHI, but it fits a pattern maybe. Avoid scrutiny.
And it all feeds into this need for the administration to seem wildly popular even when the facts, the polls, say something else entirely.
Right. There's this projection of strength, of huge support.
Look. Yes, he won a plurality last time, and technically the popular vote first time in 3 tries, okay?
But the context matters.
It absolutely matters. His approval ratings weren't great going in. He's got all these legal cases, a state conviction, and the win itself. It wasn't some landslide. It was close, like 1.5 points, right? That's not a political colossus.
No, and historically speaking, his approval ratings have never been particularly high for a president. His initial rating this term was, the second lowest ever?
Only beaten by his own first-term start.
Exactly. And it hasn't exactly been climbing since then. If you look at, say, Nate Silver's stuff on Substack, there are charts. It's pretty clearly trended downward.
It's gotten so bad that even Fox News has to admit it.
Yeah, that was telling.
Their own poll. Job approval, around 100 days in, 44%. That's lower than his first term at the same point, which was 45.
And the poll mentioned some concerns about the economy, which is putting it mildly based on other numbers.
And his reaction? Predictable, I guess. Yelling at the TV, wanting the pollster fired, saying the Wall Street Journal sucks.
So we're already back at the polls are fake stage.
Seems like it. But okay, let's break it down. Beyond just the overall number, what about specific issues? The transcript suggests he's
underwater, pretty much across the board.
Okay, like the economy. That's usually pushed as a strength.
Usually, yeah. But that same Fox News poll, 56% disapprove of his handling of the economy. Only 38% approve.
Wow, that's an 18-point deficit.
It is. And you can see why, maybe, there are all these promises about making things cheaper, right? Instantly cheaper.
Right. Haven't felt that.
Well, exactly. People are seeing trade wars, a shaky stock market, tariffs that could actually increase costs.
So other polls back this up.
Oh, yeah. Reuters Ipsos had 57% disapproval on cost of living. Fox, again, 59% disapproval on inflation, 58% on tariffs. Pew had 59% disapproval on tariffs, too.
And the thing with tariffs is the full hit doesn't always land immediately, right?
That's a key point the sources make. The effects can be delayed, so things could potentially get worse on that front, not better.
Okay, what about immigration? That's another area he talks about constantly, claims everyone's united behind him.
Well, the unity seems to be slipping there, too, according to recent polls. He's actually underwater by, 1 to 5 points on immigration overall now.
Really? That's a shift from a month or two ago.
It is. And again, the Fox poll shows this interesting split. People might like the idea of border security in the abstract.
But not the actual immigration policies.
Seems that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of it appears tied to worries about, well, due process, basic fairness.
Like those cases mentioned.
Exactly. Kilmer Garcia, the graduate student, wrongly detained, no wrongdoing found. And these reports of people being deported essentially to a foreign gulag, as one source put it, without trial.
Just horrifying. Wasn't there something about a tattoo?
Yeah, someone apparently targeted partly for having an autism awareness tattoo. It raises serious questions about arbitrary enforcement.
And people notice this stuff. That Economist YouGov poll.
Right. Half of Americans think Kilmer Garcia should be brought back. Only 28% disagree. That shows public concern about fairness.
Okay, so economy, underwater. Immigration, slipping and underwater. What about the whole war on woke? The attacks on DEI? That must be popular with his base, at least.
You'd think so, but even there, the broader public isn't really buying it. One poll showed him down 9 points on that issue.
9 points against him on the war on woke.
Yep. And when you look at what that actually means in policy terms, like the executive order targeting disparate impact.
Okay, explain disparate impact quickly. That sounds technical.
It's actually a really core idea in civil rights law. It basically says a policy might look neutral on its face, but if it ends up discriminating against a particular group in practice, that's still illegal discrimination.
So it's not about intent, it's about the actual outcome.
Exactly. It's a bedrock principle. People like Martin Luther King Jr. fought for concepts like this.
Yeah.
And this executive order seems aimed at, well, annihilating it, basically ignoring disparate impact.
How did they frame it?
The transcript bits we have from the announcement talk about focusing on results, actual fairness, merit, getting out of the diversity, equity, and inclusion cult.
A cult. Wow.
Yeah, and honestly, listening to the speaker in the transcript, it doesn't sound like they fully grasped the deep legal significance of what they were trying to dismantle.
So the bottom line here seems to be, this whole agenda, piece by piece, it's just not popular with most people.
That's what the data strongly suggests. Look, the country's polarized, no doubt. He has a solid base. But a mandate for these specific policies, the numbers just aren't there.
Feels like. Like marketing versus governing. He's good at the marketing, the branding, rallying the base.
Very effective at that, undeniably.
But the actual governing, the policies themselves, as one of your sources put it, people bought the packaging.
At the product inside sucks.
Yeah, that was the blunt assessment in one analysis.
So if the policies are unpopular, approval is down.
Yeah.
What keeps it all going? Why are Republicans in Washington seemingly going along with it?
Well, the analysis points pretty strongly towards intimidation and fear.
Fear?
Yeah. An agenda of intimidation and fear is how it was phrased. It creates this kind of politically toxic discipline, forcing people to toe the line, even if they know these policies aren't popular back home or even maybe good policy.
They feel they have to go along.
That seems to be the dynamic described. It overrides the actual public sentiment on these issues, at least for now.
But that can't last forever, can it? If the policies are unpopular and the polls reflect that, you'd think not. I mean, ultimately, that dynamic seems pretty unsustainable. The consistent poll numbers, the public reaction when things like the WHI cuts come to light, it suggests this disconnect is bound to catch up to them, as the saying goes.
It really does. Okay, so that's our deep dive for today. We've really peeled back the layers on this gap between the administration's agenda and, well, reality based on public opinion. It's quite a picture.
It definitely is. And it leaves you, the listener, with a pretty big question to chew on, I think.
Which is?
How long can an agenda that seems this disconnected from broad public support actually keep going in a democracy? What gives?
Something to think about. Keep listening to the Deep Dive Report show for more analysis like this.
Yeah, definitely hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already.
And click that little notification bell so you don't miss anything. You'll catch them in the next breaking news.